The fluorescent lights overhead cast an unforgiving glare on the sterile surfaces of my apartment's kitchen. I stood at the sink, staring out the window as rain drummed against the glass, its rhythmic beat synchronizing with the thrum of the refrigerator behind me. It was a sound I'd grown accustomed to over the years, a constant companion that masked the silence of an empty space. I turned off the water and reached for a towel, my eyes wandering to the calendar on the wall opposite the sink. The dates were spaced out at regular intervals, each marked with a simple M. My mother's name was scrawled in faint letters below the last entry, 18th March. That was when she'd moved into the assisted living facility down the street. My gaze lingered on the calendar for a moment before I returned to my task, washing the dishes from last night's solitary dinner. The water ran cold, and I felt a shiver run down my spine as I stared out at the rain. It was an unsettling feeling, like the temperature in the apartment had dropped without explanation. The door to my apartment creaked open, and Emily stepped inside, shaking the rain from her hair. She'd been a friend since university. We'd lost touch after graduation but reconnected when my mother passed away. I hadn't seen much of her since then, but she'd called recently, saying she was in the area for work, and asked to stop by. She hung her coat on the hook near the door and made her way over to me, a look of concern etched on her face. "Hey, sorry it's raining like this," I said, gesturing to the window. She followed my gaze but didn't comment on the calendar. As we worked in silence, Emily drying the dishes while I loaded them into the dishwasher, I couldn't help but feel a sense of disconnection from my life here. It wasn't just the apartment's emptiness, it was as if time itself had slowed, leaving me suspended between the past and an uncertain future. After Emily left, I remained in the kitchen, lost in thought. The rain continued outside, its beat unwavering. I reached for a notepad on the counter, one my mother used to keep notes, and flipped through its pages. They were filled with reminders, grocery lists, appointments, birthdays. My eyes landed on an entry from 2015. I'd been too young to remember this, but according to my mother's note, I was supposed to call her at exactly 8:47 p.m. every night for our goodnight routine. It was something we did when I was a child, a ritual that faded as I grew older. The reminder on the notepad made me feel uneasy. As I read through more of the notes, I began to realize how much of my life had been governed by these scribbled reminders and schedules. My mother's influence extended far beyond her death. It felt like an invisible hand still guided me. Even now, from the other side, I folded up the notepad and left the kitchen, walking through the apartment with a new sense of trepidation. In each room, I noticed small, seemingly insignificant details. A vase on the coffee table that matched one in my childhood bedroom. The same make of curtains we'd hung years ago. Even the typeface on our old VHS player, now long gone. These echoes of the past swirled around me like autumn leaves. It was then I heard it, 8:47 p.m., exactly as I'd read on my mother's notepad. A call from an unknown number, its silence punctuated only by a faint breathing sound in my ear. My heart pounding, I hung up, wondering if I'd imagined the entire thing. But as I stood there, frozen with fear, the refrigerator behind me resumed its monotonous hum. And for an instant, it sounded like my mother's voice whispering goodnight.